Welcome to the Stephen Mansfield Podcast.
Well, welcome to the Stephen Mansfield Podcast. I'm glad you've joined me. Great to have you with me. You know, I rarely do movie reviews in my podcast. I certainly love movies. I grew up as a military brat in Europe without much English TV, just fascinated and inspired by movies. I view a lot of movies, but it's just not primarily what I'm about. I'll occasionally mention the movies maybe we ought to watch. I do a lot of movie recommending in my work with the Great Man program that we have for men. I think movies are a powerful way to communicate manly themes, but I just don't do a lot of movie reviews. But I want to do one today. And the reason is that there's a movie that's coming out which is extremely powerful. It is about an incident that was just dreadful that happened some years ago, and about how that became redemptive in the lives of a lot of people. Now, let me say before I go any further, I have no financial connection to this movie at all. I understand that we live in a cynical age. I understand people often have questions about that. And often, people will review things they have some financial connection to. That's not always unethical. But just to be absolutely ethically clean, I want you to know that pretty much on this podcast, unless I'm recommending one of my books, I have no financial connection to the things that I recommend here. And so I'm recommending this film because I believe in it, not because there's any financial kickback for me. You may recall that on June 17, 2015, that a young man named Dylan Roof walked in to a church in Charleston, South Carolina. The church was Mother Emanuel Church, Methodist Episcopal Church, a black church in Charleston, South Carolina, walked into that church one evening, sat through a prayer meeting and a Bible study, and then pulled out a gun and killed 9 black people who had just shown him love and hospitality. Now I want you to think about that scene. He walked into a church. He sat there amongst a room full of African Americans who were praying and hearing scripture. He enjoyed their hospitality. He shook their hands and welcomed them. And then he pulled a gun and killed 9 of them, some of them with as many as 6 or 7 bullets in their bodies. Now, this was horrible. Dylan Roof was a self-described white supremacist. He had gone online, read a lot of the crap that's online, gotten all tanked up about how blacks are overtaking America and about how blacks are intermarrying with whites and about how we were becoming a mongrel country because of blacks and people of other skin colors, non-white skin colors. And for purely white supremacist reasons, believing the silliest of lies about how blacks are taking over America, Dylan Roof decided to shoot 9 people in a church, kill 9 people in a church that had just welcomed him and loved him. Now, I could go a lot of different ways with this. One thing I want to say is that I certainly know the power of bad ideas. I certainly know the power of wrong Hitlerian kinds of ideas. But I also believe in spirits. I also believe in demons. And that some of you don't, that's fine. That's the difference between us. But I also believe there are spirits that influence things. And I believe that this young man will one day shake off the evil spirits that controlled him that evening, shake off the stupid, ridiculous, deceitful ideas that he had imbibed, and will realize the horror of what he has done. He's now been tried. He's been sentenced to death, as he should have been. And this man is going to die. I'm praying that before he does, he recognizes what he's done and does his business with God. Okay, that's my little side commentary. What you may not know about this whole episode, though I'm sure you remember it from the news, and I'm sure you shook your head as I did, and perhaps you even prayed for the people who were the survivors and so on, and perhaps you were even moved by how at the funeral, President Barack Obama broke into the singing of Amazing Grace. It was a wonderful, wonderful moment in an otherwise tragic situation. What you may not know is that the survivors, the sons, the daughters, the husbands, the wives of those who were killed, within 48 hours appeared at a hearing regarding Dylan Roof, and openly and on, in some cases, international television feeds, forgave him and urged him to receive Jesus Christ into his life. I want you to think about that. Picture that your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter has just been killed by a ridiculous, disgusting white racist who shot them, by the way, let's say you're a church goer, or perhaps you're synagogue or temple goer, whatever, in a place of worship, after having received their hospitality. And when he's asked why, he quotes some KKK kind of drivel, and you just realize the man barely is even intelligent enough to articulate the views that caused him to kill 9 people. But you're then given an opportunity to speak at an initial hearing. I believe it was an arraignment. And you and the survivors, despite their feelings of horror, despite their grief, forgive him and urge him to receive the forgiveness of God. It was a powerful moment. It was a powerful scene. It has the potential to heal some of the racial hatred and tensions in our society. It has the potential to undo what's happening from the top down in our country when it comes to renewed racial wars and tension. And there's been a movie made about it. It's called Emanuel. Let me caution you that the word Emanuel is spelled with 1 M. Sometimes churches do this. They'll spell Emmanuel with 1 M, which is appropriate. It's consistent, but it's not the usual spelling. Usually Emmanuel is spelled with 2 M's, but Mother Emanuel, Methodist Episcopal Church, decided to spell it with 1 M. So when you search for it, when you Google it, when you look up this story, when you look up Mother Emanuel or the shooting on June 17th, 2015, you have to look for 1 M. And I only mention that because I spent a good deal of time looking up some details about this to record this podcast. And also, by the way, looking up some information about the movie even after I'd viewed it, and had a little bit of trouble because I was spelling it in the traditional Christian way of 2 M's. Anyway, all that to say, on June 17th of this year, 4 years to the day after the shooting on June 17th of 2015, June 17 now of 2019, the movie just simply titled Emanuel, again with 1 M, is going to be coming out. And it is a movie that powerfully, in that style that we've all seen now without any narration, just the people telling the story, it's going to tell the story of the horrible shooting. It shows the news reporting. It shows the trauma settling in on the reporters. It shows the trauma settling in on Charleston. It just shows the devastation and the brutality of this act. It shows Dylan Roof being interviewed by police and what a knucklehead he is. It shows how almost possessed he is in a sense, not in the sense that his head's spinning around or he's getting violent, but he's shut down. He's cold-hearted. He's dead inside. You can feel it all. And then these marvelous African-American survivors speak to him live and in court, forgive him. This is 48 hours after their loved ones had been killed. Funerals haven't even happened in most cases. Forgive him and urge him to turn to God. I got to tell you, it's a powerful, powerful film. It has potential to do a lot of good. I'm guessing it probably is being promoted as a Christian film, but I got to tell you, I watched it, and other than the faith that the survivors bring to the fore themselves, other than the faith that has to be talked about because the episode happened in a church, obviously, and it was happened during a church service of sorts, the intention is not primarily to push faith. So whatever your faith, or if you're not of faith at all, this film will powerfully impact you. It powerfully will tell a story. It addresses racial reconciliation, and it's raw. Not everybody just feels all great after 48 hours. Some people are furious. Some people still want a reckoning. But still, they stood there 48 hours after Dylan Roof shot their relatives for ridiculous and cold and stupid reasons, vicious reasons, and they forgave him, and they urged him to turn to God. It is a powerful story. The whole thing lasts about 90 minutes. I got to tell you, I think this has potential to do a lot of good in our country. I want to urge you to go online, look for the press kits. There are chances to get discount tickets. It's going to be airing at most major theaters. I got to be honest, it's the kind of film that's probably not going to be there very long unless it catches on in the country. It's the kind of film that most major theaters show for a while. People initially show up and the thing doesn't last very long. We need to see if we can sustain it. Not because we're trying to put money in anybody's pockets, but because this film has power to do good in our society. It tells a noble story. It tells a story from our headlines, and it tells a story that I think will inspire you. Yes, it's a story of faith, and I have no apologies for it, but it's also a story writ from the headlines of our times that I think has the power to do noble good. So Emanuel, the film, June 17, just a couple of weeks from when I'm recording this and when you're likely hearing this, check it out. If you're head of any kind of group, churches, youth groups, you've got a business, you got people working for you, give them some time off, get the discount tickets, go see it. This is going to be powerful. And if you work, live, or operate in a multi-ethnic, multiracial context, this is essential. Get some friends, pull people together. Go with the friends who don't look like you and view this thing together and talk about it. It's going to make a difference. Emanuel, the film, got the power to do some good in our society.
Stephen Mansfield is a New York Times best-selling author, a popular speaker, and a frequent faith and culture commentator on Fox and CNN. His groundbreaking books on faith and society include The Faith of George W. Bush, The Search for God in Guinness, Mansfield's Book of Manly Men, and Lincoln's Battle with God. Learn more at stephenmansfield.tv.